I had the honor of DPing 2 episodes of Grey's Anatomy for season 15, one of which, silent all these years, has been getting tremendous praise since it aired. I'm so happy I can talk to you about one of the key scenes that we did. It's the diner scene with Camilla Luddington's character Jo and Michelle Forbes' character, who ends up being her long-lost mother. I want to share the ins and outs of this scene because keeping a 2-person table scene visually interesting can be tough. In addition, the scene was 13 pages long, and not just 13 pages, but 13 pages of very intense emotional dialogue. Normally 13 pages would be scheduled over a course of a couple days, but due to the emotional content of the scene, we knew it would benefit the performance if we could have the actors do it all in one day. So we had to tackle it strategically with a well-defined shot list and plan. There would be no guesswork on the day as to how we were going to shoot. We went with 3 cameras working in somewhat of a live shoot scenario where we would let the actors and cameras run the entire 13 pages for each take while the cameras performed their assigned tasks and setups. When we scouted the diner, director Debbie Allen walked me through all the shots that she saw making up the edit. This included dolly moves, slider moves, jib moves, and covering both sides of the stage line. I had the operators on headsets so I could talk to them during the take to either zoom in and out or when to push in or pull out on the dolly during different moments of the scene. The first step was to figure out a lighting plan that wouldn't have to change much. We needed to light it once and then let the cameras roll. Talking with my gaffer, we decided to push most of the lighting from the windows with several big HMIs. We also had a 5K tungsten mole beam for hot spots that we could splash in the background. The HMIs then pushed through frames of diffusion, and our greens department helped us hide the light stands with foliage. After we got the big lighting push from the windows, the only thing we really needed was a couple of rigged fill lights inside the diner, and sometimes a small beadboard bounce. We went with battery-powered velvet lights inside that are controllable through an iPad application so that intensity and color temperature can be controlled instantly. Once these were put in place, we were ready to roll in the cameras. We decided the best way to accomplish camera placement was to have a camera live on a Chapman 12-foot miniscope, which is a small portable telescoping crane, and then B and C camera live on dollies with sliders on the heads for smaller adjustments. We worked Cooke S4 primes on A camera, and B and C camera rocked the Ingenue 45 to 120 zoom to keep things quick. I then took all of the angles that Debbie had discussed with me and lumped the angles together that I thought could work at the same time. I devised 9 setups that would get us the total 25 shots we talked about. The first setup, we wanted to start a bit smaller. Rather than having the actors immediately jump into 13 pages, we started with Michelle's entrance into the diner facing the larger windows towards the front. A camera working a wider shot, while B camera worked a tighter angle. From there, we moved on to yet another simple setup, having A and B camera pop off quick montage shots that would be used for the opening sequence. After we warmed up with these shots, we jumped into our first big setup that would cover all 13 pages. A camera started its take by pulling Micheal in from the door and landing in a wider 2-shot towards the side windows. B camera shooting an over-the-shoulder onto Micheal, and C camera shooting an over-the-shoulder onto Camilla. We decided to cross-shoot this first big setup because we were already lit for both sides, and this essentially got the whole scene in the can in one go. After this setup, we began working the cameras from the same side, still looking towards the larger windows first. We then had A and C camera work dolly moves across the back of Camilla, left to right and right to left on either side of the stage line. It was a delicate dance as A camera floated the wider shot on the crane, and C camera worked right next to the crane on the closer shot on the dolly. This was a dynamic setup that they used a lot for the edit. At the same time, we had B camera trained in on an off-axis medium shot of Micheal. From there, we then needed B and C camera to work our dolly in and out shots on either side of the stage line. While they executed these very delicate pushes and pulls for the entire scene, A camera worked swingle shots from the crane as it was armed out over the bar. A swingle shot is a single shot that pans between actors according to the dialogue. From there, we were able to flip our world, facing away from the big windows at the front of the diner, and now looking towards Camilla, towards the back of the diner. We mimicked the same dolly left to right moves on A and C camera first, with B camera doing its same matching off-axis medium shot on Camilla. And then we moved on to the matching B and C dolly in and dolly out shots on either side of the stage line. After that, we were down to just a couple more setups. We moved on to the reverse wider shot of Micheal's entrance, covering it with A camera, doing Steadicam over her shoulder of the entrance, and B camera working a longer entrance shot. Finally, we moved on to setup 9. We ended with this setup because we knew that we could get this coverage without seeing the larger windows. There was a very good chance we were going to lose the light that day, so ending with this setup was the best idea. This setup worked well for the stand-up and sit-downs that happened a few times during the scene, and gave the editors yet another choice from this side of the line. Obviously, every time you shoot 2 people sitting at a table, you don't need to do this many camera angles. But by giving a variety of coverage and keeping the camera moving, we knew this would match the emotional tone that had been written. I encourage you to watch Grey's Anatomy episode 15-19, Silent All These Years, so you can watch these scenes completely cut together, as well as enjoying a very powerful and important episode.